Every regret starts with an I want, and unfortunately in our culture, we've bought into this really, really erroneous lie. We've bought into this concept. We've bought into this sentence. We've bought into this thought paradigm that I want the freedom to do what I want, when I want, with whom I want. And this only leads to tragedy because you can't always do what you want without eventually hurting someone. You can't eventually, listen, anytime that you do what you want, you will end up hurting somebody. And sometimes when you do hurt somebody, that somebody that you hurt is you. And here's the next quote that I have on my PowerPoint. You will be mastered by someone or something. When you do what you want, when you want, with whom you want, how you want, eventually you will be mastered by someone or something. This thing, this person that you had so much freedom to jump on board with, that you had so much freedom to just go and do, that you had so much freedom to just participate with, yeah, this thing could eventually someday, or this person, this thing could eventually someday master you. And here's what's crazy. The thing that has mastered you began as an expression of freedom, but now you've hurt you. What you once thought you had freedom for as an expression of freedom ends up being something that ends up hurting you, and it mastered you. But now you've realized, I hurt me. I hurt me. I hurt somebody. Because you can't do whatever it is that you want to do, when you want to do it, how you want to do it, with whom you want to do it, and not hurt somebody. And sometimes you will hurt you. And then you get to this point where you've realized that this thing has mastered you. And it all began with, nobody's going to tell me what to do. No one's going to tell me what I need to do, what I need to think. No one's going to tell me where to go. No one's going to tell me, hey, you can't tell me where I can't go. You can't tell me who I can't talk with. You can't tell me who I should be talking to. Yeah, well, then eventually you're going to hurt somebody. And then that somebody can sometimes be you. And when you get to that place where you've been hurt by somebody, you will eventually be mastered by someone or something. But the problem is, you don't just hurt you. Here's my next PowerPoint. You hurt the people with you.
That's true. That's true.
You will end up hurting the people with you. See, there's no teenager that gets to do whatever he wants and gets himself into a mess or herself into a mess and doesn't hurt the parents.
Yeah. That's right.
See, there's no teenager, there's no young adult man, young adult boy that does whatever it is that he wants, gets into a mess, and then gets a phone call. He gets a phone call, one phone call, because when you end up in jail, you only get one phone call. He calls his parents, and then his parents realize that he's in jail. That's a bad thing. That hurts. You will end up hurting those with you, and eventually you hurt the people coming after you. You will hurt the people that come after you, because when you do what you want, with who you want, how you want it, when you want, you cannot not hurt somebody. You will end up hurting somebody. And sometimes that person will be you. And then you'll realize, that just hurt me. And that's when you get to the point where you've been mastered by someone or something. And the problem is that you will always hurt those around you, those with you. But the one that we never think about is those after you. We never think about the people that come after you. We never think and we never stop and realize that what I'm about to do, that I have the freedom to do, what I'm about to do, that I have all the liberty that I want, and I can, because no one's my boss and I am my own body, I'm my own person, and no one should have the right to tell me. I don't need a God that should tell me what I can and shouldn't do. Yeah, the last thing that we think about when we're in that car, in that summer night, going to the hotel or the place or the house of a person that we shouldn't be going into, the last thing we think about is those that come after you. That's your children. It's your family. It's the lineage that God wants to give you. And see, one day, someone previous to your generation, your parents, did whatever they wanted, with whom they wanted, however they wanted it, when they wanted it, and it didn't just hurt them, it hurt you.
Right. That's true.
And maybe you're going through certain things right now that you wish you didn't have to fight. Maybe you're struggling with certain battles that you wish you didn't have to battle with. Maybe you're going through certain patterns that you wish you didn't have to fight at night, or you wish you didn't have to fight during the day. Maybe you're going through struggles that was because someone before you didn't think. And they didn't realize that when I do what I want, when I want, with who I want, how I want, it affects those after you. See, we sometimes get stuck with what I think I want. So there's this story in the Old Testament that is just so powerful. The story that just honestly changed, like it just paints this picture so well of what we think we really want, of what we think we want, instead of knowing what we really want. It paints this picture so well, and it always ends wrong. It always ends wrong when we take what we think we want instead of figuring out what we really want. Here's what the story says. 2 Samuel chapter 13 says this. Now David's son Absalom had a beautiful sister named Tamar, and Amnon, her half-brother, fell desperately in love with her. Amnon thought he wanted something. Amnon wanted something. And all Amnon needed was the voice of somebody, was the voice of culture, was the voice of a friend to tell him, go and do what you want to do. Take what it is that you think you want. Go ahead and do it. And that's exactly what happened. Verse 3, Amnon had a very crafty friend. Be careful who your friends are. Be careful who the voices in your life are. Be careful who you allow to speak into your life. You know this already. His cousin Jonadab, that's the guy's name. Jonadab was Amnon's friend. He was the son of David's brother Shimeah. And so one day, Jonadab sees Amnon, and Amnon's all depressed, and he's all angry, or he's all upset, he's all dark. And so Jonadab comes in and notices and says, hey, what's wrong? Why are you feeling so sad? What's going on? And then Amnon explains, it's because I'm in love with Tamar. She's a forbidden person for me right now. I think I want this girl. I want this girl. Have you been there? So Amnon explained the situation. He's like, I'm in love with this girl. And then Amnon gave him the wrong advice. Amnon told him something he shouldn't have said, because Jonadab fed Amnon's easy wrong instead of building him up for the hard rides. And sometimes we gravitate towards all the Jonadabs of our life instead of gravitating to the people that will say, no, that's stupid, that's wrong, get it together. See, we feel comfortable in the moment because it's like, yeah, we're having yes people all the time. Yes, and we feed off each other. And see, this is what Amnon did. Amnon fed off of Jonadab. And Jonadab kept feeding Amnon's easy wrong. You know what I do to the people that I love the most? I feed them the hard right. I talk to them about the hard right. I repeat the hard right, and I repeat it, and I repeat it over and over and over, because it's not worth taking the easy wrong in life sometimes. It's too painful. There's too much call and purpose on our life from God for us to take the easy wrong. So we got to learn how to feed the hard right and build people up for the hard right. But here's the problem with Jonadab. Jonadab was a bad friend, but Jonadab seemed like a good friend to Amnon. Are you a person that likes the yes people only? And do you get all defensive when the truth people talk to you? I mean, does your face change when someone tells you your idea? Just plain stupid, man. Does your face change? Do you dislike it when someone says, hey, I've noticed that you've been acting this way lately. I've noticed this little pattern in you lately. Do you get all defensive? Do you hate it? Because I'm going to tell you something. If you like the Jonadabs, then you better get used to misery. Because you can't like the Jonadab and not have misery in the package. You gotta learn to say no to the easy wrong in life. So he fed into his easy wrong instead of building him up for the hard right. Well, Jonadab said, I'll tell you what to do. Go back to bed and pretend that you are ill. When your father comes to see you, ask him to let Tamar come and prepare some food for you. Tell him you'll feel better if she prepares it as you watch and feeds you with her own hands. What a creep. Man, that's just weird, right? He's a grown man and he wants his sister to feed him in the mouth. That's just some weird. Jonadab was weird. But I think that Amnon was even more strange because he followed the plan to the T. And so he tells his dad and he calls King David. He goes, hey, I'm not feeling well. Can you send my sister Tamar to come to my side of the palace, my room, to make me my favorite meal? I need her to come make me my favorite meal so that I can feel a little bit better. And it happened. She ended up coming. King David said, for sure, I have no problem with this. And so she comes and she starts preparing the food for Amnon. And Amnon's just getting ready. He's just getting ready to execute that demonic, bad, dark, evil plan. And as she was feeding him, and by the way, before she feeds him, when she finished cooking his meal, Amnon tells everybody that was around, leave. Leave. Get out. All the servants, all the friends, all the staff, all the volunteers. He's like, leave. Sometimes we isolate ourselves. And we don't want to be around certain people. Because there's something that we're hiding inside. But I'm going to tell you what James says. Confess that thing. Bring it to light because it will not be healed until you bring it to light. See, God can't heal you in the dark. God can't heal your heart in the dark. What's in your heart that is dark needs to come out into light so that there may be healing. This is so crazy. He was just so sneaky, this Amnon. This guy was shady. Amnon was just pure shade. Man, this guy's just sneaky. Tells everybody to get out. And so everybody gets out. Verse 11. As she was feeding him, he grabbed her and demanded, come to bed with me, my darling sister. What a creep. Like, see, you hang out with creeps, you become a creep. What you spend time with, you become. That's just weird. And this is where Amnon is so blinded by what he thinks he wants. He's so close in proximity to his easy wrong that he's blinded from taking the hard right. Listen. This is such a crazy picture. He's just so close to his easy wrong. He literally can reach out and grab it. I mean, that's what the Bible says. He grabbed her. Your proximity to your easy wrong makes it hard for you to take the hard right. Your proximity to your easy wrong will make it really hard for you to make your hard right choice. And he grabbed her and he was just so blinded, even though, listen, his body wanted something, even though he knew in his heart that it was wrong. His body wanted something that his heart knew was wrong. He was just so blinded. He was so close in proximity. And then she says, no, my brother, don't be foolish. Don't do this to me. Such wicked things aren't done in Israel. Where could I go in my shame? And you would be called one of the greatest fools in Israel. And here's where we as human beings get tricked by a trap that we don't see when we do what we think we want. When you're in such close proximity to the easy wrong, we get tricked into a trap that we don't see, and we get tricked into this trap every time we do what we want. Every time we go for what we think we want. Every time you go for what you think you want and you're in close proximity to your easy wrong, you get tricked by a trap. Watch what she says. Please, just speak to the king about it and he will let you marry me. Hold up. He didn't have to go through this entire mess. He didn't have to go through this type of story. His name shouldn't have been tainted. His purpose should not have been lost. Things things didn't need to get this ugly. Things didn't need to get this crooked. Things didn't need to get this dark. Because she says, listen to what she says. She says, please just speak to the king about it, and he will. He will let you marry me. But see, Amnon had a friend. Amnon had a friend. Amnon had a voice that said, just do what you want, when you want, with whom you want, how you want. And here's the trap that I was talking to you about. A mindset that says, I won't. The trap is a mindset that says, I won't obey. I won't listen to that. I won't take the advice. I won't do what they're telling me. I won't go towards the direction God's pulling me. I won't listen to God. It's a trick. It's a trap. Our mind falls into a trap every single time. Every single time. We do what we want, when we want, with who we want, how we want. We fall into a trap. The mind gets tricked. And the trap is the I won't mindset. I won't listen. I won't obey. I won't do what they said. I won't listen to my conscience. I will not do what I've been taught. I won't do what I know is right. I won't. And then sadly, one day you will wake up, or you've woken up, or you wake up saying, I can't go back. I can't stop what I'm doing. I can't say no to this person. I can't say no to this thing. I can't back out. I can't fix this. I can't go back. I can't. You start off with, I won't listen. I won't obey. I won't do what they're telling me. I won't follow the advice. And then one day you wake up going, I can't. I can't go back. I can't stop this thing. I can't help myself. Can't help myself. Can't help myself. But sadly, this was the reality for Absalom. He was stronger than she was. He raped her. Here's what I want to tell you. Things didn't have to get this ugly. But when you live by I won't, it's just a matter of time before you end up with I can't. When you live with the I won't listen, I won't obey, I won't submit, I won't follow. When you live with an I won't, it's just a matter of time before you end up with an I can't type of lifestyle. I can't stop it. I can't back out. I can't help myself. I can't change things. I can't go back. I want to go back to that time where I had the opportunity, but I can't. I want to go back to that conversation right before I made my dumb decision, but I can't. I want to go back to that moment where I was at the fork between the easy wrong and the hard right, but I can't. And this is just such a sad reality for so many people to live. And so he raped her. And here's the problem: when you do what you want, when you want, with who you want, how you want, you end up with what you think you want rather than what you really want. And this is such a tough reality to go through. You end up, when you live with the I won't and you fall into the I can't, you will wake up with, I don't want this anymore. What I thought I wanted, I don't really want. And that's exactly what happened to this guy, Amnon. Verse 15, then suddenly, Amnon's love turned to hate. Because it's what he thought he wanted. Have you been there before? What you thought you wanted? And he hated her even more than he had loved her. Get out of here, he said. His infatuation turned into a frustration. What he thought he wanted wasn't what he really wanted. And isn't this true? The thing that we thought we wanted isn't what we really wanted. The guy I thought I wanted isn't really the guy that I really wanted. The girl I thought I wanted isn't really the girl that I wanted. That relationship that I thought I wanted isn't what I really wanted. Man, this club that I'm partaking in, this club, it's what I thought I wanted, but it's not what I really wanted. We fall into this, and it's such a tough reality when it sinks in and you go, man, what I fought so hard for, that I thought I wanted, that I thought I loved, now I don't want, now I don't love it, because it's not what I really wanted. It's not what I really wanted. Yeah, that text that you're hoping for, that you're waiting for, it's not what you really want. Those Valentine flowers that you didn't get, trust me, you didn't want them in the first place. Put your hands together for that if you're here single. God has somebody for you. Don't sweat it. God has somebody for you. When that person comes, it's what you will really want. So don't sweat it if you had a bad Valentine's Day. So in his hate, Amnon kicks her out. Where he once planned how to have her close, now he wants her to be far. So he tells her to get out, and she says, no, Tamar cried out. Sending me away now is worse than what you've already done to me. And here's the reality, that when you go for what you want, when you want it, how you want it, with whom you want it, you will fall to a reality that it's not what you really want. And here's what happens when it's not what you really wanted. Things get worse. Things get worse. And you make things worse not just for you, because when you do what you want, when you want, how you want, with whom you want, you hurt someone. You can't just do life doing what you want, when you want, with whom you want, how you want it, and not expect to hurt somebody. This is exactly what happened to this guy. He did what he wanted, when he wanted, with whom he wanted, how he wanted, and eventually he hurt someone. It was someone that was with him, around him, someone that he loved, someone that he cared for. But you can't do what you want, when you want, how you want, with whom you want. Not hurt someone. Sometimes he'll hurt you. And that's exactly what this guy did. He hurt her, but then he eventually ends up hurting himself. But Amnon wouldn't listen to her. Verse 17, he shouted for his servant and demanded to throw this woman out and lock the door behind her. See, a few verses above, she was his darling sister. Now she's this woman. Do you see how things change? In one moment, can you say one moment? One moment. In one moment, everything can change for us depending on the choices we make. And if you lead your life by what you want, you're going to have a lot of this dissatisfaction running all over your heart, soul, mind, and body. That what you thought you wanted 5 minutes ago, because now you're done with the pleasure, now you don't want it and you want this woman out. But wait a minute, just a few seconds ago, she was your darling sister. Yeah, it's because it's what you thought you wanted. It's what I think I want. But what I think I want isn't what I really want. So the question is, what do you want? What do you really want? What do you want in this life? How do you determine what you really want? You're going to come back next week and we're probably going to talk about this. How do you actually determine what you really want? What do you really want? So, he ends up kicking her out. He ends up hurting the one he loved. Because you can't always do what you want without hurting someone. So I want to give you 3 things to consider. When you're in a choice, and you're at a fork road between, if you don't know what I want, and you can't tell the difference between what I think I want with what I really want, I want to give you 3 things that I want you to make a differentiation between with. First one is this. Know the difference between appeal and satisfaction. You got to know the difference between appeal and satisfaction. All over the Bible, we see the pattern that the enemy always tempted people with appeal, never with true satisfaction. Do you remember Adam and Eve when they were in the garden? Well, I'm sure that it wasn't just one conversation that Satan, the snake, the serpent, had with Eve. It must have been a long conversation. And it must have not just been one conversation. She must have been in proximity to her easy wrong for a while before she took the apple. And here's what he did. He presented the fruit. And the Bible says that it looked delicious. Can you say it looked? It looked shiny. It looked beautiful. It looked tempting. Because the easy wrong always has an appeal to it. But the easy wrong could never take you to true satisfaction. Eve takes the bite and she takes the fruit because it looked appealing. And guess what happened? Everything. Everything. See, God had made a plan for us to live in a perfect atmosphere with perfect bodies for a long time. In his atmosphere, in his presence. But unfortunately, she took an easy wrong, and then Adam came and took the easy wrong, and they took something that seemed appealing, but never brought true satisfaction. And here we are today, fighting a lot of the consequences that they brought to us by one choice. Because they were in proximity to conversations they shouldn't have been having. They were in proximity to someone they should not have been with. And then it's just a matter of time before you take that bite. And so here's what I want to tell you. The easy wrong has appeal, but the hard right brings long-term satisfaction. Yeah, I know it's tempting when, he looks good. She smells good. Well, that party looks so entertaining. What if something happened to you at that party? The appeal was great. The appeal was amazing. Friends, getting wild and rowdy, drugs, having a fun time, a small guilty pleasure. Yeah, but then, what happens after you end up with no satisfaction? So you have to, when you're at a fork, you have to, you should think about, is this appealing or is this satisfaction? Does this just have an appeal or will this bring me complete satisfaction? Why? Because the easy wrong has appeal, but the hard right brings long-term satisfaction. Amnon wasn't satisfied. And he had a tragic ending. Here's the second thing. You gotta think about the now versus the later. Think about the now versus the later. We want it now. Whatever it is that you want it now. Whatever it is that you want it now. You don't want to wait. I mean, we live in a microwave generation, right? We just pop it in, take 2 minutes, beep, beep. My purpose. And God's like, no, there's process and there has to be time. And I'm gonna build you up. And I'm gonna strengthen you up. And I'm going to make you wiser. I'm going to make you better. I'm going to make you stronger. I'm going to make you more loving. I'm going to make you patient. I'm going to make you better and greater. Because what I have for you is better. And it is greater. And I want to make you better. But we want it now. And so sometimes we don't differentiate between what we're going for and what we want. Will this bless me now or will this bless me later? I want it now. But what we want now isn't what we want later. And I'm going to tell you something. Later is a lot longer. Have you ever made a choice that you have to live with something? And the moment that you make the choice and that you were living with it, you were fine for 3 months, and then what? 3 years later, you're like, this is misery. Yeah. Have you ever been in a wrong relationship? You wanted it now. I want it now, and you got it now. But you didn't think that what I want now is not what I'm going to want later. And the last thing you thought about was that later is a lot longer than now. And so sometimes we need to stop and think a little bit and think it through and say, is this a now or a later thing? I gotta make the difference between the now and the later. What we want today often ends up in the way of what we want tomorrow. What I want today often ends up in the way of what I want tomorrow. Come on. See, you make the wrong choice and you take the wrong gift when God has the gift that was meant for you, which is what you really want, and you took what you thought you want. Your hands are full. You can't take it anymore. And the thing that you want now got in the way of what you wanted later. And this is the problem where we start living with frustration because we don't make the differentiation between now and later. What you want now is not what you're going to want later. And regret ends up with, I want to go back in time and not get what I wanted. Regret ends up like that. You end up saying, I want to go back in time and not get what I thought I wanted. I don't want this anymore. I don't want this partnership anymore. I don't want this job anymore. I don't want this class anymore. I don't want this place anymore. I don't want this relationship anymore. I don't want this person anymore. And you wish you can go back in time and stop what you went for. Because what you went for is what you thought you wanted, and it wasn't what you really wanted. So what do you want? What do you want? What do you really want? If you want to know how to get what you really want, you gotta come back next week and we'll talk about it. If we always do what we want to do, we end up in a place we don't want to be. And catch this quote. If we always get what we want now, we may not get what we want later. This is so true. It's so true. This is why it's so worth your time to think now or later. Because now is short, but later is longer. And I'd rather be satisfied for a long time than have something appealing for a little while. Give God glory because He's good. He doesn't leave us alone. Here's what I say. Give all that I'm telling you. Most people don't know what they really want because most people don't stop long enough to figure it out. Most people don't get what they really want. You want to know why? Because they're such in a hurry. They don't stop to think about what they really want. And so they rush into decisions. They rush into relationships. They rush into partnerships. They rush into friendships. They rush into the drink. That drink can kill you. They rush into the drugs. They rush into Facebook and social media too. What they want right now, I want to let the world know peace of my mind. Or you start posting weird things on Instagram, on your story. It's because you want to send a message. It's what you think you want, but guess what? What you want now is great. It'll give you temporary satisfaction because it's appealing to do it. But in the long run, you know what it's going to do? It's going to bite you. You got to make the differentiation between the now and the later. Here's the third one. You got to make a differentiation between knowing versus thinking. You got to know that there's a difference between you knowing something and you thinking something. What you think you want isn't what you really know that you want. You got to make the difference. Most of us don't know what we really want because we're so distracted by what we think that we want. Let me read that one more time because it's so good. Most of us don't know what we really want. Most of us don't know. Most of us don't know what we really want because we're so distracted by what we think we want. We're so distracted by what we think we want. And here's the problem with thinking. Thinking doesn't shut up, does it? And thinking happens over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Yeah, everywhere. While you're eating, you start thinking about what you want. While you're trying to sleep, you can't go to sleep because you're thinking about what you really want. While you're with your friends, you're thinking about what you really want. While you are doing whatever it is that you're doing, you were thinking because thinking is so annoying. It's your personal TV for background noise. Wherever, have you done that? You play your TV for background noise? Yeah. Put on Netflix, you put Friends on, and you just play, you're not even watching it, you just don't want to feel alone at home. Well, for those of you that are my thinking friends, well, we don't even need that. As a matter of fact, we want silence for a little while, and that's the problem. That most of us, we don't know what we really want. Because we're so distracted by what we think we want. And knowing is different than thinking. And you can't figure this out until you figure it out. And no one can figure this out but you. You can't figure what you want out until you figure it out. You know what this means? Time. You gotta have time. Because you gotta think about the now and the later. If you don't stop to think, you'll never figure it out. Because you can't figure it out if you don't figure it out. And no one can figure this out for you but you. You're the only one that can figure this out. Getting what you want without knowing what you want will only lead to a cycle. Getting what you want without knowing what you want. Getting what you think you want without knowing what you want will only lead you to a cycle. And here's the reality. When we get our way, we eventually get in our way. When we get our way, we eventually just get in our way. We get in our way. And then we don't let God do what He needs to do in our life because we got in our own way. Now, the end of this story for Amnon didn't end well. It wasn't a happy ending. It was such a tragic ending. It was such a sad, sad, sad ending. Such young people wasting their lives on things they should not. It didn't end well for Amnon. Even though the consequences for Amnon were not immediate, they did come. And here's what happened. After he sent Tamar home, Absalom, remember the other brother, Tamar's full brother, sees Tamar coming out, sad and depressed, and she had torn her robes that signified that her virginity was lost because virgins would wear a certain robe, and she tore those robes and put ashes on her head. She had been raped. She was crying. She was freaking out. You can imagine how shameful this must have been, especially back in the day when things were just really hardcore. And so Absalom said, come here, I love you. It's okay. But shh. We won't say anything. The Bible says that Absalom hated Amnon, but never spoke to him for 2 years. He didn't say anything good to him, and he didn't say anything bad for him. He just laid low. After 2 years, Absalom decides to say, hey, TikTok, time's stopped, time's up, it's time to pay your dues, your consequences are coming, Absalom. And the way that he planned it was this. He knew that King David would never join a dinner, so he invited King David to a dinner that he knew King David would not go. So it kind of reminds me of how sometimes people, hey, you want to come to this thing? And they know that I won't go, so they just ask me anyways, just so that they can, never mind, we won't go here. We won't go here. It's okay. Listen, but don't think that I don't catch those things. I catch those things like that. I know what you're up to. But anyways, listen. He invited King David knowing that King David was going to say no. And he says, hey, Father David, King David, I want to have a dinner with all your sons, and I want to have this dinner with all your sons, and I want you there, because I want to honor all of your sons. And then King David was like, oh, Absalom, so sweet of you, but no thanks. Why? Because David was not a present father. He was never there for his sons. He never even corrected the situation, and he found out. The Bible says that when King David found out that Amnon had raped Tamar, he was furious. But he did nothing. He did nothing. Anyways, we're not going to talk about that because it's so annoying, right? Passive people just don't do what they need to do. They're like, their house is burning, but they won't really, they just sit on the couch and watch TV. Right? Your life is falling apart and you're just chilling. Right? It's just so annoying. But anyways, that's another lesson. If you want to come back in 3 weeks. We might talk about that a little bit. And so what ended up happening was that King David said no. And then he said, but you know what, Absalom? I like your gesture. I love what you're planning. I love what you're planning. I love your plan. Such a nice plan. It's such a good plan. You always got to question motives. Not always, but sometimes. At least be invested in those that are in proximity to you. Be invested. Care about those that are around you. And he said, go ahead and have the dinner with all your brothers. And he did. And he planned the dinner. And he put a date. And he sent Amnon a VIP invitation. He said, hey, I want you to be there. I love you. I miss you. Amnon had forgotten. It's been 2 years. And Absalom had a lot of self-control. He didn't say much. He didn't show Amnon how pissed off he was. He didn't show him how much hatred he had. He was smart. He was cunning. He had self-control. So as the date comes close, Absalom plans Amnon's murder. And he says, we're going to get this guy drunk at the party. I want to give you my signal. Kill him. We read this. And here's how it goes. 2 Samuel 13:28. Absalom told his men, wait until Amnon gets drunk. Then at my signal, kill him. Don't be afraid. I am the one who has given the command. Take courage and do it. Don't do people's dirty work. So at Absalom's signal, here's the ending. They murdered Amnon. A young life. How sad. Simply because, look at this ending. Simply because he went for what he thought he wanted. And it's so sad that after he was done with the moment, he wasn't even satisfied. And to make things worse, he hurt people around him. And to make things even worse, he gets murdered. A young life ending so young. A young life ending too soon. You know, sometimes it's not Absalom that might murder you. Sometimes it's a drink. Sometimes your Absalom is a bad friendship. Sometimes you're bad Absalom. Sometimes your Absalom could be an atmosphere. Sometimes your Absalom could be a bad habit. Consequences always come when we do what we want, when we want, with whom we want, how we want. You can't do what you want, when you want, with whom you want, how you want, and not expect to hurt somebody. And sometimes that somebody is you. See, in some point of life, some of us, we reach or have reached a time where we think to ourselves, man, I'm tired of doing Man, I'm tired of always doing what is right. I'm tired of always doing the right thing. We reach a point in our life where we just go, I just want to do what I want to do, when I want to do, with whom I want to do. I don't want anyone telling me what I should or shouldn't do. I don't need a God that I can't see to tell me how to run my life. But somewhere, somehow, we end up realizing, man, this isn't freedom. This is loss. We start with this little hissy fit of, man, I'm tired of telling. Like, maybe some of you haven't even grown up in church your whole life, but you grew up in a home where, very polite, a lot of good things that were getting preached at your house or being spoken. You got taught really well. Or maybe some of you actually did grow up in a church and you've grown up hearing all the good things, and here's what you shouldn't do, and here's what you should do, and here's who you should be friends with, and here's who you shouldn't be friends. Whatever the case, we sometimes grow up in an atmosphere where we sometimes come to a point in our life where we go, I don't want this anymore. I don't want to do the right thing anymore. I don't want to be doing what's good anymore. By the way, God, I'm going to college. I'm a grade 12 this year, Lord God. Close your eyes for 9 months. I'll be back. We get to the point where I don't want to be doing the good thing anymore. I'm tired of people telling me who I should be friends with, what I should be close to, who I should not be friends with, what I should not be close to. I'm tired of people asking me the questions. Where were you? Why are you coming home so late? I'm tired of getting asked these questions. It's so frustrating and suffocating. And then we go with what we think we want. But when reality hits, when your now moment becomes your later, and your later is a product of what you thought you wanted, you end up in a place where you go, man, what I thought was an expression of my freedom is only bringing me loss. And this isn't true just for teenagers. This isn't true just for young adults. This is true for all of us. This is true for all of us. Because what we think we want isn't always what we really want.
Thank you for watching our weekly talk at Crave Church. A new sermon will be released every week, so make sure you subscribe and turn on your post notifications. With that, you'll be notified each time we upload a new sermon. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.